how to purchase an existing business without collateral, without hard credit checks, get incredibly fast funding, or wait some time for you to get those funds to purchase that existing business. Hi, this is Michael from Viral Funding Solutions. And in this video, I will show you all of what I just said and a lot more, walking you through the details on how you can exactly and finally purchase an existing business. But before I get started, if this is the first time you're watching me, I do come out with content like this on the channel on all small business loans, building business credit the right ways, and taking advantage of different opportunities as they show up. So if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future videos I come out with. Let's get right into this. So there's a company here called GoKapital where I've helped out plenty of people already purchase an existing business. Not only that, but get all types of business loans and also real estate financing and a lot more. So today our focus is on the revenue-based loan primarily and the merchant cash advance. So it's revenue-based loan we're going to look at for purchasing an existing business, as well as the SBA 7A. And if you're questioning, oh, what about these bank term loans? What about these unsecured or secured term loans? Well, they possibly can work, but you have to look at what is the minimum amount being asked for that you can get funding, and then the maximum amount that can be supplied. So it may not even fit in that category, and some of them may be just too expensive for you. Perhaps you're not in a position to give up any kind of collateral, and those don't always work for that exact purpose. So I'm going to show you right now. You'll see it say merchant cash advance, but we're going to focus on the revenue-based loan of this equation, and the SBA 7A, just the MCA kind of intertwines as in a revenue-based loan. So let's look at this, the most accessible funding option on the market. And one thing too, if you want to see a more thorough view of the GoKapital program, I'll leave more videos down below so you can watch the full video. I've also cut it up into pieces where I've talked about the other types of business loans, real estate financing, and more. And if it's not there, it's okay. If you're actually seeing this maybe through an email, then that's another way that you've come through here to see it. And hopefully there's some information down below for you to view. So quick payback structure, funds deposited in hours. So this is the advantage of going through a revenue-based loan. If you don't want to wait 1 to 3 months, in a lot of cases, 3+ months, because the process is strenuous at times, depending on your file and what we have to look at. And I'll get into some of the documentation necessary for that. But if you're somebody who's saying right now, I want this business within the next week, or I want it in the next few days, probably possibly in less than a month, and you're like, I really want these funds, or I really want this business, then this is the route I want to go into. So I want to clear some of the things up that come with this. So 20K to 5 million is what is in that mix. Loan terms here are 3 to 18 months. So this is where we now get into, okay, this is more of a shorter term solution. You have up to 18 months to pay it back. And if you're not in a position to do that, then again, I'll show you another option in a moment, so please stick with me. But if you are, you're saying, hey, I don't even need 2+ years or however much that is. That's a little too exaggerated. I don't want to actually take on that added interest, whether there's a prepayment, there's no prepayment penalty or not, whether there are early payment discounts or not. I don't want to take that chance where I could be saving an extra 10, 20, 30,000 plus. I'd rather go with, as hopefully I can get the most 18 months, or maybe I don't even need the most, somewhere in the middle or less. Even then, this would probably benefit you. And so time to fund, it's 1 to 2 business days. Again, it's really fast as opposed to waiting 1 to 3 days for approval. In that time, you've already been approved and funded, and not waiting 1 to 3+ months. A lot of people wait 3+ months. I've seen that. Time to fund, again, 1 to 2 business days. Factor rates, if you're asking that, we calculated on a 1.20 scale to a 1.49. So that really just means if you get, for example, a 1.23, multiply that, let's say you want $1 million is what you can get funding for. So $1 million times 1.20, that's what you would expect to pay back. And then I can calculate the daily, weekly, biweekly, and even monthly payments, and then how all that turns out over the extension of that term, or over the time of that term that you have going on, and what we can possibly look at in the future for refinancing and how you can get more funds. But just want to let you know that that is on the table, and that's how it would be calculated. And there are categories to all of this. So the stronger revenue, the better, excuse me. And the more time, the better. And I'll show you some of those qualifications and we'll go through it over here. Let me move on of all this. So step one, just simply apply online, fill the loan application form with basic details like your name, social security number, business tax identification number, business location, and any other essential information that's regarding your business. The application can be done online, or you can also download the PDF version, fill it out and follow the instructions. I'll have information on this down below. Click the link to get started, and I will be there every step of the way to help you. And that is the best thing to do. So look down below to get that application going to purchase that existing business. But before you do that, you should hear about the revenue requirements and some of these things. So stick with me. Step two, submit the documents. Provide 6 months of business bank statements. Sometimes it's 4 to 6, not all 6. Submit the documents that will be used to assess your business's financial health as well as your identity. Some of the documents include your government issued ID and a statement showing your business's credit card transactions. So when people ask me, do I need to have an existing business? The standard is usually a yes. And there are some ways of doing it where you don't have to have an existing business. There are other ways and other routes you can go through, but specifically in all cases, getting them through private lenders, it can be a bit difficult unless you have an existing business that you can show. And people will ask me, does it really matter if I have an existing business? I'm not sure if this applies, and it does. And the strength of that will determine how much you can get approved for. So with these, before I tell you the approval, how much you can get approved for, step 3, approval process. After completing the loan request form and providing the initial necessary documentation, a loan specialist from GoKapital will notify you of the approval terms. Once you accept the terms, we will send you the contract, and finally you can get funded. It's very fast and easy. And so you can get approved between 50% to 150% of your monthly sales, or I should say your average monthly sales is what we'll tend to look at. So if you're looking for a business that is worth 800,000 and you're doing 500,000 in sales, the likeliness of you getting that amount is much higher, right? Because you fall between that 50 to 150% and even over. And so you wouldn't have to provide any collateral in that case. And I'm going to show you what it would look like if you would have to purchase an existing business and you couldn't get the full amount, and maybe you didn't have the revenue that would get you up to that 150%, or you get the max, but you still need more to put in. What is required? Is there a down payment? I'll get into that in a moment. And for possible startups, or for, possibly you've never run a business before, it's never been ran from you, then you can, I'll try to leave some information down below, but sometimes that'll change and it might not be available. Step 3, approval process. As we just mentioned here, make sure that you understand that a loan specialist can get in touch with you. That's why I wanted to reemphasize that on the approval process. So some of the features here, factor rates start from 1.20 to a 1.49. Again, that is the minimum and maximum range from what you can expect to be multiplied into how much you get funding for. That'll be then your repayment. And this is calculated on time in business, the strength of your revenue, your credit scores as well. So terms 3 to 18 months, again, it's on the shorter end. Loan amounts 20K to 5 million, time to fund 1 to 2 business days. Time in business 1 year, existing advance, no problem. Tax liens acceptable, yes. Industries funded, all. Repayments, they are daily or weekly. Collateral that's required, no. So that's the advantage with this. You got to take that into consideration. You can't go through a traditional bank, maybe some online banking solutions. Oh, and if you're questioning, hey, I've heard of these bank term loans, or I've heard of these unsecured term loans or secured term loans, they can work to some degree. They may require you to put harder form of real estate, some type of collateral. They don't always work because the minimum, you can't get in on that, and then the maximum is not enough for what you're looking for. And then in some cases, they don't even get you in for purchasing an existing business. So this is a great route to go into. So let's go through this. Restrictions on uses, no. Consolidation, refinancing options, yes. And there's a quick calculator there, but we won't go into that here. And just some more bits of details. So I already covered the months, the term length, minimum credit score. Usually we'd like to say 500 plus, it's none, but the better credit score definitely will help you, especially get the most amount of terms, and it will can significantly drop your payments. So that's something to consider. A lot of A-paper lending clients are 700 plus FICO and above, and they do 50,000 and above, and they have like 2+ years of business to get a 1.19 or 1.20 to 1.30. And it can vary depending on the lender and the programs, but that's just a quick look at that. And if you have less, might be between the 1.30 and 1.49 and can be considered a little bit more high of a risk. So annual revenue that is required, 30K per month or 360,000 in annual revenue. Now I know you're probably thinking, well, I don't have an existing business that I can use towards the purchase of a new one. Then, well, I'll try to leave some options for you down below. They can be very limited because there is some revenue factors that go into play, because we want to know if you can make the repayment, specifically when you're going through private lenders. You're not going a whole different route, which I won't talk about all of that, but I'll try to leave in some information for it down below. But time in business is 1 year is all that's required, as opposed to the SBA 7A, which you would require to have 2 years in business. Your cost of capital, in other words, the interest rate or the factor rate, 1.20 to 1.49. It is more on that medium to high as opposed to the SBA. So you have to think that through. If you would rather have wait 1 to 3 months to get funding, but you would rather have the interest rates being less, 5% to 9%, then you can go with that. And it's another thing to consider, that if you go the SBA 7A route specifically, that it could be a strenuous process and all the extra documentation you have to supply forward. And if you can wait that time out and you know you can get approved for it, then that would be a direction you'd want to go into. And I'll cover that in a moment. So 24 hours time to approve, even same day funding. Important details: approvals are from 50% to 150%, as I just alluded to earlier, of your average monthly sales. These are daily or weekly payments. All industries can qualify. Documents: business loan application, which is down below, 4 to 6 months of business bank statements. Sometimes it can be 6 months, sometimes it can be 6+. 4 to 6 months of credit card processing merchant statements, if applicable, right? If applicable. Now, the other one I want to look at is the SBA loans. That's the one where you may be looking at and saying, well, I am rate sensitive. I don't necessarily need to purchase this business right now. I want to put in the application and get it in as fast as possible, which is what I recommend you do. Make sure everything is aligned. Maybe you want to raise your credit score a little bit more. But here is the SBA 7A. And I have another video where I talk about the SBA 7A and a few other bits of details that I'll link to down below. But from 200,000 to primarily it's 5 million with the SBA. 10 million, we're talking about SBA 504/CDC. Flexible repayment, 3 to 25-year terms. SBA loan rates can range from 5% to 9%. So there's that advantage, as opposed to having the factor rates that can be higher when calculated. It can be between 10 to like 50% plus in a lot of cases when you take that into consideration. And just some eligibility requirements: signed GoKapital loan application, completed personal financial statement, 12 months of business bank statements. So that's where we're getting higher because it is SBA. 2 years of business tax returns, 2 years of personal tax returns, a year-to-date financial statement such as profit and loss statement, your balance sheet, and then a copy of your recent credit report. So you can see how there's more documentation that has to be required, as opposed to going through this over here, the revenue-based loan, where you don't have to supply that much. You can get in and out. Approvals are from 50% to 150%. Sure, it might be daily or weekly. A lot of the times for you, if you have higher revenue and the details are all there, weekly payments is what we tend to have. You don't always see them monthly. And in some cases it can. I'm not saying it's completely shut out, but you always see weekly, as opposed to SBA 7As where you can get more of a monthly type of expectation, and we can take it from there. So keep that on the back of your mind. And then some of the features: up to 5 million, funding time 30 to 60 days. Can you wait that time? Lowest interest rates 5% to 9%. Long repayment terms 3 to 25 years, excuse me. So if you want to drop those repayments and it makes more sense to you, so you might want to sit down and speak with me, or you want to have to submit some funding details. And if you have not and you want to get a hold of me, I'll leave a questionnaire down below, a business loan questionnaire, and I even have a real estate financing one, where you can submit some simple funding details. It'll land in my email. I will analyze, evaluate, and give you a proper response. Perhaps you already have, and this is how you're accessing the video, which is great. Just make sure you go back to that email, you review everything. If you have any questions, reply back to that email, get a hold of me, send me a quick text message, and I can cover those bits that probably were not covered in that email. So great for businesses that need working capital, can be used for a variety of things like purchasing an existing business, inject working capital into your business, leasing equipment and machinery, construction and remodeling, acquiring real estate, fulfill seasonal inventory demands, and much more. The loan requirements, credit score above 680. So if you do not have a 680, there is no way this can work unless you raise it. Perhaps you have to make some payments and you're like, well, I'm going to get it up. Once I get there, then I can do this. So if that is in a disadvantage, but you need this business right away, then go towards the revenue-based loan. I know you'll get lesser terms. It might be a more of a medium high of a factor rate. But at the end of the day, as I said, the benefits, does it exceed the repayment? Does it exceed those interests? You don't have to just look at the interest and the repayment. You have to look at also the benefit of what you're getting. Does it make sense? And if it does, you move forward. And all of this, again, you can get started with your application. It will be down below, and I will follow with you thoroughly over it as you go through it. So that's what is in there. No recent bankruptcies, tax liens, or foreclosures. Collateral might be required if the loans are above $25,000. The business must be physically located in the U.S. Now, I want to get into the collateral side of the equation. So with SBA 7A, it's 10%, 10 to 15%, 10 to 20%. You've commonly seen around all SBAs. In a lot of cases, it can be a 10% down payment to put into getting the purchase of your existing business. And if you are also looking for maybe a revenue-based loan, might ask for some type of a commercial or a commercial property, some of that form of real estate that you can put down on top of the funding you're getting. So again, if you get up to 150%, but you don't get all of it that's needed to purchase that existing business, then we'll ask for some type of collateral that you may have, preferably a commercial real estate is what we're looking at, and to see if that can be helpful. Forms of collateral will be required for that, again, if you want to get that business. And don't just start applying, getting approved here, and then going to get funds somewhere else, because that's going to be very hard and you can get reduced the amount. So if you get approved for an offer here and you take it and you go somewhere else thinking, well, I'm not going to put collateral and I want to take what I can get here and I'm going to go somewhere else, that just won't work, and you're going to take on too much, and they're going to give you a reduced amount from where you went to initially. And a lot of the times they won't approve you because of what they see you're doing. So don't do that. So that's what can be required on the table. If you can't reach for a revenue-based loan, if you can't reach that amount, then we'll ask for some, real estate property, commercial property, etc. And then we can add that on top of what you can get approved for, and we can look at some options for you. And with the SBA 7A, down payments would be necessary going over that amount. The down payment I more or less alluded to. I won't go into it all so in depth. But this is stuff that I can cover with you individually if you need it. But as you can see at a glance, SBA 7A loans, 250,000 to 5 million is the range. So if it's less than 250,000, revenue-based loan / merchant cash advance, primarily revenue-based loan. And 5 to 25 years, do you want that amount of time? Do you want that amount of interest? Do you really need all of that? Do you want to be paying an additional 30 to 40, 50 to 60,000 for something that you don't need to be doing? Or do you want a shorter term solution where you're getting in and out, what's coming out on the other end, those goals, you're like, yeah, 18 months, 15 months, okay, I can do it. Even 12 months, doesn't even need to be that long. I got this, that's no worries. Minimum credit scores, 680 for the SBA 7A, as opposed to none, but a lot of the times we like to see 500 and above, as lenders will see. And the annual revenue that is required, the SBA 7A, as I didn't touch up on this, 500,000 must be shown at least 10% profit. You have 2 years in business as opposed to 1 on the revenue-based loan. And coming back to the revenue requirement, annually 500,000 there, 360,000 on this side. And then the cost of capital favors the SBA 7A, 5% to 9% in interest, medium to high, 1.20 to 1.49 factor rate with the revenue-based loan. So you got to look at more than just the interest rate and think about, does the extra amount of added time make sense? And do I even qualify for it? If I get 150% here without having to put any kind of a down payment with the revenue-based loan, then why should I even go through the SBA 7A just because they're going to be lower interest and longer terms that I really probably don't need, and I don't need to go through all that documentation? Then take it. It makes sense. And you don't have to put it, you can get the full 150% and you don't have to put any kind of collateral. Wow, it's like, great. I can move forward with it. Makes sense. And I've spoken with so many business owners who have done both. It all has to make sense to you. And again, make sure to refer if it's you coming through an email on this to check that out. But if you want to fill out that questionnaire, which is the best thing to do, by the way, is the fastest way for me to get a hold of you, is fill out that questionnaire. For if it's not only for purchasing an existing business, it can be for anything. So fill that out. It comes to my email. I evaluate, analyze it, and I can give you a proper response via email, and you'll be notified of all that. And so requires strong credit history. Back up here, time to approve 24 hours for the revenue-based loan, same day funding, 3 to 5 days, 1 to 3 months to fund. Do you want to wait that amount of time? That's up to you, but you have to look at it all in an overall picture if you even qualify. Requires strong credit history for the SBA 7A, requires profit on taxes, no excessive business debt. That is very common, shouldn't have that. Certain industries are eligible. SBA loan application is needed for pre-approval. 12 months of bank statements because we're getting into the SBAs here. 2 years of business taxes, 2 years of personal taxes, year-to-date financials, profit and loss balance sheet, copy of your recent credit report. So I want to back up here where I talk about 2 years of business taxes and the personal taxes. Whenever you've been incorporated or for however long you've been in operation, not everybody will qualify because of that. Do you have those 2 years of business taxes or 2 years of personal taxes? Not everybody does. And so that's something that can automatically disqualify you. And you may want to come over here to the revenue-based loan. It doesn't exactly mean it's a bad thing on this side. Again, it just has to align with, does it make sense? If I take this term, can I make those payments back with what I'm getting? And does it all make sense? And does it all align? And you go for it in that perspective. So keep that on the back of your mind. Yes, there are business term loan solutions, unsecured, secured. But again, as you can see here, up to $250,000. And a lot of times we won't always give you it towards the purchase of an existing business. So it wouldn't always make sense to do that. So that will wrap up everything in this video. Please refer to the description, if there is one down below, to get started with your purchase of an existing business. I'll have those application links down below, or that application link where you can get started. And it's just very simple. Let me come up here. It's SBA, click the link that'll be down below. It should appear something like this, more or less. Go through this application process, and I showed you kind of what to expect a little bit earlier with steps. Just fill out some simple funding details, use of funds, what it'll go towards. See, that's what you want to list there. What are you using it for? Purchase an existing business. And you can even be a little bit specific if you would like. I would do that. Logistics business or whatever it is. But you could just say purchase of an existing business. And again, this is information that I will follow up upon, and then you'll get a specialist as well, and you'll be well taken care of. It is very safe and secure. You just go through there, fill out some business information, owner information, docs and confirmation, and you're out the window. And next thing you know, your business is flowing. You have the funding you need for the purchase of this existing business. You are multiplying your profits, tripling all this and quadrupling, and you're making a bigger impact on people's lives, because that's what it is at the end of the day. Is you have to ask yourself before you go to bed, did I make the best impact? Did I give the best impression? Did I give the most amount of value to my audience, my target audience, and whatever business you're in? Was I able to serve them? And this is stuff that I, as myself, as a business owner and entrepreneur, look at. So that will conclude everything in this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. All the other GoKapital videos, I'll try to leave down below in the description so you can learn more about those and so much more. And if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so and click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future videos I will be coming out with. Thank you.